Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to St James's Park. Sense of deja vu I'm sensing coming up. We are sponsored by OneFootball. If you want to check out their fantastic app, it must be said, we're all feeling deflated, but it must be said their app is absolutely brilliant. Harry's been using it in the stadium because he's losing signal, but that app was brilliant for him. He's just been staying off camera, so have a look. All the stats are in the link in the description, and you can see the barcode, which is over Johnny's face at the moment. So maybe we should cover Johnny's face because he's not too happy like the rest of us. But let's go into it. This is the last word. We'll hear from the backroom team shortly, but we'll begin as we always do. And I'm going to pose this question once again to you. Are the two centre-backs what you've seen today first choice? Because last week you said Botman.
No, they're not. But I think we heard earlier on Saturday morning that Botman had a little niggle. So from what you hear, I'm sure Eddie Howe will tell us in the last word why Botman didn't start. But no, for me it's Botman and Shea, and it will be unless one of them goes out of form. But Dan Burn was fine today. I've got no issue with the defence apart from the goal, which they just fell asleep with. It was just a shock to the system, but it just beggars believe what we were doing going forward today.
Where do you stand on that? Because I don't think Eddie Howe knows yet.
I don't think he knows. It's probably why he keeps resting, rotating, and etc. Because he wants to find out who his best two is. I think it should be Sven Botman, but is he trying to ease him in? I'm not sure. Only Eddie Howe will know that. But for me, Botman should be starting. Botman and Shea, perfect for me.
I think ease him on a 2-week break.
Yeah.
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Fabian Shea has played the most games at centre-back this season, so he could be first choice. Who knows? Good debate, though. A good debate. Bruno, fantastic to see him back in that lineup. We were talking in the preview, weren't we? We were like, it would be good to see one or two of them back. It was only Bruno, ASM, who I was driving past up at the training ground yesterday. He didn't make it, unfortunately, but it's a massive, massive welcome boost to see him in that lineup. But as you were, the rest, Sean goes back to the bench. But let's talk about our first half, Johnny. Very similar to the second, I have to say, but the first half, I think of chances. Trippier, that free kick which hit the outside of the post, and then that triple chance where it all happened in one spell, where I think it was Joe Litton hit the post, ball comes back into play, cross comes in, Joe Litton again, keeper saves, goes back out, Fraser, his curler is tipped over by the goalkeeper. But what else did we have?
And this is where you look at, why did we not go for a right-hand side attacking winger? Like, not necessarily a right-hand sided one for today, but we all knew we were a bit light. And if Maxi got an injury, Fraser and Miggy, in my opinion, just aren't strong enough. They aren't strong enough.
When you say it's not strong, do you mean goals and assists?
Well, how many goals and assists has Miggy got take away pre-season? How many goals and assists
will they get all season?
Fraser, sorry.
How many will they get all season?
This is what I'm saying, beggars belief. Like, I understand why I play them both, because you look at the bench and it's Jacob Murphy.
It's the same old.
It's the same. And again, I would have chosen Miggy and Fraser, which is probably defeats my point a little bit, but they need that against Bournemouth. No disrespect to Bournemouth, but you've got to be getting assists and chances and goals. You know, at the worst assists for Isak, I just thought they were both. I don't know. They just lack that killer instinct. You know, we'll talk about maybe Isak a little bit later on, but they lack that killer instinct today, both of them. Yeah,
and Bournemouth did look a bit threatening on the counter. We'll talk about them in the second half, but we went into half time. It was 0-0. It was where was the inspiration coming from? Because it was a little bit lacklustre, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think the midfield could have done more. I think Joe Willock today had a particularly poor game, and I know I've said that before, and I was ridiculed, but every cross he put in went straight to the keeper, and I don't see what he brought to today's game, and we just couldn't create anything. I think I'd rather have us. At this moment in time, I'd rather have us signed a midfielder over a winger, because I think we're lacking creativity in that midfield. When Bruno's not there, there's nothing, and that's where I think chances.
It's that old same question. Look at the benches. We said it, didn't we? It's the same. 3 substitutes over and over again. When we don't have Jonjo Shelvey, which we miss. I don't care what anyone says. We miss Jonjo Shelvey. Yeah. And you've got ASM out. You've got Callum Wilson out. But it's the 3 same substitutes game after game, and they're all championship players.
Look, in my opinion, just to go, I don't think Willock had the best of games, but the only thing I will argue with his point in terms of his crossing, who's taking the gamble at the front post? No one. No one did. It was the same with Fraser. Fraser had a couple of crosses in the first half.
Wilson and Isak are different.
Of course they are. Wilson gambles. Isak, again, Isak's new to the Premier League, but if you look at it on there, 2 goals, 3 games. You know, I know he didn't do a great deal today, but I just think today we just looked so poor going forward. Like, we could have been here till midnight. We weren't scoring a goal from open play. It had to be a Trippier free kick or a penalty for us to score a goal today. It literally had to do that because we weren't scoring. Honestly, we could be here till next 2 weeks' time for the next game. Honestly, we'd still be here and still be 1-1 or whatever it would have been at the time.
Oh, for fuck's sake, why? Get rid of that wasp. Get rid of that fucking wasp.
He hates wasps.
I'll fucking pull the wings off the fucker. Fucking hate the bastards. Right, so Bournemouth score. It's on the counter. I think Trippier's way up the pitch. I think then Shea's coming across. It's kind of a cross. Bilham sticks his leg out and it's Pope's flat-footed and we're 1-0 down. Again, what did Pope have to do except from pick the ball out the back of his net?
Yeah, nothing. Two shots pretty much straight at him where he goes down, simple saves, nothing. But yeah, it was a killer blow that I think, although we might have not created a lot, we were building a lot of momentum just 10-15 minutes before that.
Yeah, Fraser, bottom corner, shot wide and Joe Linton header, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we were building momentum in that second half, and that goal just, I think it sent the crowd a bit flat, and it flattened the players a bit, and back down to lacklustre of that first half, and we needed that penalty. Otherwise, as Johnny said, we would have really, really struggled to get back into that game. Straight away, we countered and got that penalty, but don't know where that came from, did it?
Yeah, Trippier claims for it. His cross and Miggy, I can't remember who was crossing. I think it was Trippier. Both of them are claiming for it. We just think that's a corner because we didn't get these decisions. But Craig Pawson goes over to VAR, comes back and gives us a penalty. Who knew? Eh? And do you expect Isak to... Because I think Trippier picked up the ball, didn't he?
I think it was Bruno. I think Bruno
was
had it, and he had it under his arm the whole time. We were waiting for VAR, and I was convinced he was going to take it.
Bruno give it to him, or is it Alexander Isak saying, give it me, I want this?
No, to be honest, I had a fairly good view. So when VAR decided it, Isak just walked over and took it off him.
Fair enough, that's credit to the man, and that shows you something, didn't it? A bit of bottle.
Yeah, shows he's got a pair of bollocks, and to be fair, I expect that from a £60 million striker to go, give me the ball, I'm going to make it 1-1, and he did. It was a fantastic penalty right in the side net. And just go back on the Bournemouth goal though. Philip Billings done what we should have done today: gamble, anticipate a cross it, and go for the front post. And that's how Bournemouth get their goal. And it's really, really deflating. But yeah, look, he stuck it away really well. But again, from that goal, has Neto really had to make any sort of save? He's come for crosses, but it just shows we just don't have anything in like the substitutes. We've been talking this for a little while, and when we lose Maxi, we lose Wilson. God, we honestly would look blunt.
We did, and obviously Neto, he did first half, but second half he didn't have much to do. He knew his distribution and collecting crosses and getting the ball back out. But okay, so we equalise. Howard and the crowd are up, we're singing. And a shout out to obviously the respect to the Queen as well. I forgot about that as well before the game. There's a separate video already out on the channel, so have a look at it, and on the 70th minute, which was nice. However, right, we need to go and win the game, and the criticism that I had against Crystal Palace, I'm 40 agreed on that. However, put two up top, let's do it. We've eventually seen, obviously, Sean and Murphy come on like for like. Bruno probably because he's not match fit or injury, whatever. Maybe he should have kept him on. Okay, so Chris Wood comes on the 88th minute. First of all, Harry's at the right time, should he brought him on earlier. But when you brought him on, you think, right, okay, he's actually going to go two up top and try and go for it. But he actually moves Isak to the left and brings Wood straight through the middle. What's your thoughts on that?
So for me, Chris Wood has to come on earlier, and we had a plan. It clearly wasn't working. We ended up taking wasteful long shots. Fabian Schär, Joe Willock, miles wide, and the plan wasn't working. The plan was to get the ball wide and get it into the box. Why would you not have Chris Wood on? If you're trying to go wide, kept repeatedly going to Kieran Trippier high up the pitch, crossing the ball in. Isak's not the biggest frame. He doesn't win a lot in the air. Why not stick Chris Wood on as well?
And Jack Stevens come on and Bournemouth go five at the back.
Yeah, even more reason to, because Bournemouth were sitting in. Bournemouth didn't go forward at all, I don't think, in that last 20 minutes or so. So why not stick Chris Wood on? And for me, yeah, on the second question, Chris Wood for Joe Willock, two in midfield, 4-4-2. Why not? What have we got to lose? Because the Bournemouth
They
weren't going
accepted it.
forward
They
at
accepted
all,
a
yeah.
point, didn't they?
Yeah, so why not? Why not? I understand he might want to perfect plan A, you know, like all the top managers do, keep the same formation, but there's got to be a point, I think, where you just go, right, you know what,
Fuck it, it's not working.
Yeah, we lose our fluidity or whatever, and we just go for it, because you've got to go for 3 points. We can't keep drawing at home.
Interesting. That's the most unhappy I've seen you. It's the most unhappy I've ever seen you. Go on, kick off. I want to talk about the small section of a couple of hundred. First time I've heard boos for Eddie Howe for the first time in, 10 months in charge? Is that the frustration of, look, we've just played Palace and Bournemouth and really we expect, and that's probably the improvement that Eddie Howe's done, 6 points from them, and then what do you make of them boos? Wouldn't have liked that.
No. I know you're not going to like a wasp because he's just...
There's a wasp popping in the camera.
That's why I delayed my answer, because I thought you were going to move away. In regards to the boos, I have no problem with a fan expressing their opinion on the performance. I didn't boo, I just said shite, because it was a shite performance, especially going forward. I think I've got no issue with the boos. Let's be honest, everyone had probably on the coupons today 3, 4, 5-0.
Well, I said 3-0.
I was a little bit more realistic at 2-0, but I still expect Newcastle to pick up 3 points today. I think early on, because we didn't get that goal, and we mentioned in the preview, if you don't get a goal early on against teams like Bournemouth, they'll go, right, let's get the 65, 70 minutes, and if we do get that one opportunity, put it away. If we don't, we sit back and we play for a 0-0 win. And that's what they did, apart from they scored and we managed to get an equaliser from the penalty spot. That's literally the only thing. We weren't going to score, as I've mentioned. But no, I've got no issues with the fans booing today. Was it that bad of a performance? Going forward, it was. Defensively, we were hardly tested. So my biggest issue with Eddie Howe today is why he took Bruno off. I understand he's come back from an injury. Didn't look struggling to me. Did he look... I didn't think Joe Linton was brilliant today. I thought he was quiet today. I thought Willock was all right, but Bruno's the only one that on the ball looks for a forward pass, looks to get players into the game attacking-wise, and can try and do a little bit of something. He has that pass in his locker that can split a defence. Don't get why he was taken off. Got no issue bringing Sean Longstaff on. No issue. Just don't get why Bruno was taken off.
Let's hear from Eddie Howe, because we're feeling a little bit frustrated.
Well, I think the bit that was missing today was the goals, the finish. I mean, it's very similar to Crystal Palace, without probably as good a performance and without maybe the clear-cut chances we created that day, but certainly enough of the ball, certainly enough of pressure around their box. But yeah, our final decision, our final action, I thought was disappointing today. It's certainly something we need to work on. It's something we have worked on, especially in preparation for the game, because how they set up was no surprise to us, and it was up to us to break it down. Well, I think certainly the end passage of the game, the last 20-25 minutes, we needed to show more patience. We ended up getting desperate and shooting from all sorts of ranges, which plays into their hands, really. So we needed to be calm, have a cool head, and keep working the ball and keep creating pressure and keep that momentum up. First half, we probably let them off the hook in terms of breaking up play ourselves, needless free kicks, and those stoppages, they were what they wanted. So we got a lot to reflect on, I think.
So that was Eddie Howe. Obviously Newcastle, it's again 2 points dropped. Harry, I'll come to you on this. How do you look at it then? Is it one win all season, or is it one defeat all season? How are you looking at it? I'm
looking at 5 draws. I'm looking at 5 draws from 7 games. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm obviously not picking either of your answers. But
because what I'm thinking is that certain national media, radio stations, shall I say, might try and twist that.
Yeah, and of course they'll say 1 win because we've spent over 100 million and got a £60 million striker, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, up until this point, and maybe to a point, the Palace game, everyone had been relatively happy with our results. I think it's just a couple of poor results at home which have cost us, really. I think everyone was fine after 5 games. It's after 7 games where we're looking at the table and we're thinking, right, why have we drawn this many games? Why have we only won once? Why have we only lost once? But the thing is, we just need to stick at it. We've got an international break now and then a really good run of fixtures. So if the 3 points don't start coming, certain media outlets might push heavier on Eddie Howe. But let's see. Be patient. Give him time. I didn't boo, and I don't like to see that. I understand fine people boo, but stick with him because I think we'll come good.
Just for the record, I didn't boo either. Just because I know Johnny said it and Harry said it. So it's a good time now, the international break now, because you need ASM back. Wilson should be back. You mentioned Harry just said there, Eddie Howe would be looking at how we didn't win this game, how we didn't win that game. Surely it's a good time to have that break. Although we hate international football, is it a good time to reflect?
Not really, because of the
win the game straight away then. Like Wednesday night?
No, not Wednesday. Maybe another Saturday or Sunday next week. I think that might have been a bit more beneficial. I get both sides of the argument in terms of the international break, in terms of it's a good time or a bad time. I think for me, if ASM and Wilson were nearly fit today, to be at least on the bench, you'd argue that both of them will be in the squad. Whether they'll start remains to be seen, but both in the squad for the Fulham game in 2 weeks. So, I think we probably could have done with a game next week, considering we didn't have a game last week. If that was our international break last week, then fine, I kind of get it if you want to look at it from that point of view. But I think we probably needed another game. But look, it gives ASM and Wilson 2 weeks to really recover, gives us a few more options. Don't understand why Elliot Anderson wasn't on the bench today, unless he is injured. It's got to be an injury. I can't understand that one.
He didn't play for the under-21. So.
No, and that's what I mean. I think there's not many players that are going to be playing international football. When they do, hopefully they'll stay fit and we can get them back involved. But I disagree slightly with what Harry said in terms of easy games. On paper, and if you look at the bookies' odds, Bournemouth is meant to be the easiest game of the season.
We've got a lot of games in October. We've got a lot of games.
As we were saying, we'll hopefully get Wilson back, ASM back, and they'll make that difference that they do. And to be honest, we've all been criticising today's performance, which means it can only get better. So if we're against similar ilk of opposition, maybe slightly better, we're going to also improve as well.
I think from my point of view, you used to, even like 10 years ago, you looked at the Premier League and there was a couple of games you go, yeah, that's an easier game. You just look at the fixtures now, like before this game against Bournemouth, we were going, tough run. I'm looking at it now, I'm going Fulham away, started brilliantly. Brentford are no mugs, Brentford are a good team. And then you've got Man United, Everton, Spurs, Villa. There's some tough games there. Some tough games. I still think Newcastle can win these games. I think they can be competitive in these games. And that's the difference. We weren't competitive last season. We're competitive this season. But if we can remain undefeated, I know it's 5 draws, probably a bit too many draws. But if we can still remain undefeated in terms of making St James's Park a fortress, which it has been in 2022, you do pick up your points. We're on 8 points now. Was it 8 points?
Yeah.
8 points. So it's not a bad return, but we could have easily been in double figures already. Yeah. Easily.
We could have, and obviously that Carvalho late goal, that could have added another draw, believe it or not. But how are we going to see the women tomorrow, you know what I mean? We might see some goals.
Get along, support.
Smile, Johnny, we might see some goals tomorrow.
Get along and support the lasses as well. Big game against Chorley tomorrow. They started really well, 3 wins from 4 games, 3 points off the top. So if you haven't got much to do and you want to come along watch some good football, Kingston Park, 2 o'clock.
Kingston Park, 2 o'clock. And Chorley took 4 points off the women last season, which cost Newcastle United women the title. But we'll be there as ever. But that's it from the last word from St James's Park. Harry, Johnny and myself. See you later, everyone.